What they refuse to tell you about the Golden State Warriors. As you all know, the Warriors recently lost to the Sacramento Kings 123 to 124, and although they did lose by just 1 point, there was still a lot of great things that came out of that game. In today's video, we're going to be going through 5 key improvements that the Warriors have made that can not only help them start to win games, but help them make it back into the playoffs and win another NBA championship. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it means the world if you can subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below.
First is that Andrew Wiggins is finally stepping up. Now, as you all know, they did end up losing by 1 point, but when it came to Andrew Wiggins and the way he played, we finally are starting to see more of Andrew Wiggins that we know and love. As you all know, Andrew Wiggins in this game actually had 29 points, 3 assists, and also 10 rebounds. So he did a fantastic job for the Golden State Warriors in this game and definitely kept them alive until the end. He also went 11 from 18 from the field, which is fantastic, and 2 from 5 from the 3, while also shooting 5 from 6 from the free throw line. Now, when it comes to Andrew Wiggins' game, yes, he is a big defender for this team, but he's finally starting to see that he is able to be a scorer for this team while also being a great defender. And this is definitely something we need from Andrew Wiggins on in the future. As you all know, the Warriors did end up winning the NBA championship against the Boston Celtics, and although Steph and Curry absolutely demolished the Boston Celtics in that series, I think Andrew Wiggins was definitely a close second. And we need Andrew Wiggins to continue to do what he does best, which is score the ball, in which he definitely showed in this most recent game against the Sacramento Kings. Now, if we look at the Kings, they have some great defenders on their team, and when it comes to the defense that Sacramento Kings play, they are definitely in the top half when it comes to defensive rating. The Kings have great defenders such as Harrison Barnes, Fox is a great defender, and also Duarte, and on that inside presence of Sabonis, Wiggins was still able to finish at the ring. He definitely showed a lot of different scoring, whether it was from the three-point line or driving inside the paint, and even his mid-range game has definitely not been lost. And this is something that I definitely can see Wiggins continuing to do as the season goes on. Curry can definitely be the guy that scores 20, 30, 35 points in a game, but when it comes to Wiggins, if we do get around 20 to 25 points from him every single game, I definitely can see us winning a lot more throughout the rest of the season. Wiggins is a great defender, and he definitely also showed that on the rebounding side of things, where he had 8 defensive rebounds and 2 offensive rebounds, and I think that will definitely continue on into this next game. It does help that Draymond Green is back, but when it comes to Wiggins as a whole, he definitely has come a long way, and hopefully this continues on into the next matchup. The second is the Golden State Warriors having Draymond Green back. And as you all know, Draymond Green was suspended for a couple of games due to the fact that he did try to wrestle WWE style Rudy Gobert in a last matchup, but when it came to Draymond Green, having him back in the lineup has definitely seen a huge boost in their defensive abilities, and also their actual leadership is definitely more better. Now, when it comes to Draymond Green, he is a great leader, and during this game he actually had himself 8 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds with also 2 blocks, and also shot 3 from 8 from the field and 2 from 4 from the three-point line. So I think these are great stats from Draymond Green. Like we've talked about time and time again, Draymond may not put up the biggest stats in the world, he may not be giving you 25 points or 10 rebounds or anything like that, but when it comes to Draymond Green's presence, it's definitely felt, and it definitely does help this team go on further. If we look at the way they did play during this game, I think they did get a little bit unlucky at the end, but for a majority of the time, the Golden State Warriors were actually up against the Sacramento Kings, and I definitely see that they did slip up near the end, but you see a huge difference with Draymond Green out there compared to when he was not during that suspension. I think Draymond does not just add a great leadership, but his defensive abilities is definitely felt, and his ability to really lead the team defensively has definitely paid dividends. When it comes to Draymond Green as well, what I do love about his game is due to the fact that he does keep everyone continuing to go on, and also can get players like Steph, like Wiggins, and also Klay Thompson open in a hurry. He's definitely a great point guard, even though he is that power forward position. Yes, Steph may be the point guard, but I think the one that really does have the offense run through him is definitely Draymond Green when it comes to the playmaking that he does have. Yes, he may have only gotten 3 assists, but I gotta admit, Draymond was leading that team out there, and you definitely saw it with the way he was structuring the offense in all those different ways. And I think this is something that makes the team of Warriors such a developed team, that they have someone like Draymond who plays that power forward position, who can technically pretty much run that point guard position any day of the week. And I think that will definitely help in the future, especially against bigger matchups. Yes, they may have come away with the loss on this one against the Sacramento Kings, but the fact that they are definitely, a majority of the time up against them, it does show that the Warriors do have the capabilities to definitely get it done and close out big games. The third is Klay Thompson continuing to improve. improve. Now, as you all know, Klay Thompson has been a bit on the chopping block as of lately due to the fact that Klay Thompson hasn't been the same player that he was before those two major injuries. Now, Klay Thompson has played already a couple of seasons since coming back from those injuries, but he haven't seen him full self until now. In this game against the Sacramento Kings, he did have 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists, while also shooting 3 from 9 from the 3 and 6 from 14 from the field. And these are the types of numbers we are expecting from Klay Thompson throughout the year. As you all know, like I mentioned before, the Warriors have bigger scores coming into the game or into this team, such as Wiggins, such as Dario Saric, and you even have Chris Paul. So it has taken a lot of the burden off Klay Thompson, but we are still expecting, 15, 20 points from Klay Thompson on a daily basis. And he definitely did show that tonight. On top of that, he did also just play great defense in general. He was given assigned some of the big players when it comes to defending the other team, whether it's De'Aaron Fox, Barnes, Porter, these types of players, and he did a fantastic job at being able to stay in front. Even off switches and even off pick and rolls, Klay Thompson was able to be very aggressive, and you definitely saw that as well in his rebounding due to the fact that he did get 9 rebounds for this team, while also being the second highest rebounder in this team, as Curry and Wiggins were tied first. So Klay Thompson is definitely slowly coming back, and he said that in the post-game interview that he's starting to feel his groove, and I think this is only going to help the Warriors even further as time goes on. Like I mentioned with Klay, he definitely is a scorer, but he's also a great defender, and the fact that he's got both starting to come together, I think is going to be very, very good, not only for the Warriors, but also for Klay Thompson's legacy, and probably seeing Klay Thompson continuing to be a part of this Warriors team. The fourth is that the Golden State Warriors didn't force to play Chris Paul. Now, this is such a controversial opinion, and making this point, I thought, it was a bit of a diss at Chris Paul, but I do believe having CP3 on the bench during this game was probably the best move for them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Chris Paul is a bad player, not only for the NBA, but for this team, but I am saying that certain matchups definitely require different players, and I think with this matchup, CP3 was definitely not needed. As you all know, Chris Paul actually only had 3 points and 2 steals, while also getting only 5 minutes of game time. I think one of the big reasons for this is that the Warriors tend to run fast ball, and on top of that, guys, with the Sacramento Kings being some pretty defensive juggernauts and a very fast-paced team, they didn't want to have Chris Paul out there for a defensive liability. Now, like I mentioned, this is no disrespect to CP3. I think he is still a great player, but I think it was very smart for the Warriors to try to play the players like Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Looney, and Green, as they did all get above pretty much 30 minutes. Looney had 29, but they played a significant amount of minutes during this game, while the other players off the bench, the max was only around 16, 17 minutes. So when it came to having CP3 off the bench, giving those 5 minutes, not only did it really help the team, but also having the starting 5 that they did run with take on the Sacramento Kings team, I think did really well. Like I mentioned, they did lose by 1, but when it comes to a 1 to 2 point loss, guys, it can really go either way. All it takes is one bad call, one good call here and there, one miss, one in. That's all that really matters. So the fact that Warriors were able to stay up for a majority of the game, unfortunately they weren't able to close it out, but I do believe that it did pay a lot of dividends to have CP3 on the bench and to run the starters as much as they can to give them the best chance of winning, especially when it comes to a matchup basis. The fifth is Stephen Curry continuing to lead this team. Now, as you all know, Stephen Curry absolutely balled out in this game as well, because he actually had 29 points, 6 assists, and also 10 rebounds. He also shot 8 from 20 from the field, but went 4 from 12 from the 3 and went 100% from the free throw line as well. So Stephen Curry had himself a great game on the scoring and even also rebounding and playmaking side of things. But on top of that, I think Stephen Curry doing what he does best, scoring off pick and rolls, being able to really attract a lot of attention and get his guys open. And he did a fantastic job for that, especially when it came to Curry just playing at a very high level. People didn't think Curry had it in him to continue to play at such a high level, especially be the star of a team like the Golden State Warriors, but he's definitely proved everyone otherwise. Even if we look at the team as the general, we look at the 3-point percentage, the Golden State Warriors as a team actually shot 41.5%, which is fantastic, while the Sacramento Kings did shoot only 34%. So I think it definitely does show that the Warriors are moving in the right direction. If we look at the efficiency on the free throw line, Warriors shot 86%, while Kings shot 64%. And on the field goal in general, we actually have Warriors shooting 48, while Kings shot 45. So this definitely does say a lot of different things, but when it comes to the Warriors, yes, they may have lost this game, but we are starting to see the Warriors move into the right direction. Whether it's Curry playing better, whether it's also Wiggins or Klay Thompson playing better, I do believe all things are starting to connect together when it it comes to what the Warriors are trying to build, and I think it will only get better from here as time goes on. Like I mentioned before, it's still very early on in the season, guys. We aren't even 20 games in, so we're not even halfway or halfway of halfway where we're supposed to be at, and that's why I do still think that the Warriors can definitely turn this around. When it comes to their Western Conference ranking, they aren't ranking too good as they are out of the playoff picture, but all it takes is a couple of wins to put them back into the top 8, which is all they really need. Like we talked about before, when the Warriors won the championship against Boston, they weren't even the number 1 team in their conference, and I do believe we definitely just need to see the Warriors make the playoffs, and they'll be able to get the job done as they have so much playoff experience. Even adding someone like Chris Paul to the team when the time comes that he does get a lot of minutes, especially maybe during the playoffs, it is going to pay huge dividends having someone like him on your roster.